All right, guys, welcome to this edition of the Hoel Roofing and Remodeling podcast. Today, a special guest, Nick Good, one of our project managers in the process of taking over the sales manager position here at Hoel Roofing. So just glad to have you today, Nick. And we're just going to kind of talk about life a little bit here and just some things. Like, I'm going to tell a little story on Nick, but I'm going to let him introduce himself, tell us about your family, any cool fun facts, and we'll go from there.
Alrighty, yeah, good to be on here. Thanks for having me. My name's Nick Good. I was born in Shelbyville, Indiana. I live with my fiance Taylor, and we got a dog, got a cat, and we got a bearded dragon. One cool fun fact about me, I guess, is I lived out in Colorado for a couple years. That's where I started my construction career, and then moved back to Indiana probably around 2020. And then shortly after that, ended up meeting Bob Hoel, and that's when I started working for you.
So now that you brought up your fiance, I'm going to call you out on the podcast. So did we get the venue booked yet or not?
Oh, I got the quote yesterday, the day before. I got to call him today and get the deposit down.
All right. So by the time this airs, the wedding date will be officially
May 20th.
There you go.
Yeah,
so
May 20th of next year.
You heard it first here on the Hoel Roofing Remodeling podcast. But no, so just want to kind of tell a quick story, kind of talk about the relationship, how we met, I guess is a better way to put that. And you were working for a guy, and me and that gentleman were doing a flip house, and you were out there working, kind of swinging, or you were swinging a hammer for him. And I remember saying, man, he should be in sales. And I pulled in, and then Emily pulled in, and you just asked me a million questions about roof sales. And I'm like, man, where do I get a kid like this to come and sell for me? And, you know, out of respect of who you were working for, we both had mutual respect that we didn't do anything like that. And then later that year, the opportunity for that guy was closing his business for some of his guys to come over and work for us. So that's how we ended up with you and Jerry. Very, very appreciative. But instantly I sat right down with you, and it was in December, and I was like, hey, man, sales is slow right now. But I was like, I really, really, really would like to get you on the sales side. And you're like, okay. And, you know, you agreed to it. And one thing about Nick, when he has some Jim Beams or some Jim Beam and Stella's in him, he gets very appreciative, and he gets a little maybe liquid courage. And you know, we talked about it, and I was like, man, let's just kind of set that time frame for like March 1st, you know, that transition. And I said, because we'll keep you busy this winter. That'll keep some cash flow rolling for you before we take off. And I'll never forget that text I got one Saturday night, and it was probably 11:30. And it's like, all right, boss, I'm not really making you much money swinging a hammer, and I'm not really making that good of money. No offense, I appreciate the job. He's like, so let's do this sales thing. And, you know, you came in and just worked your ass off. I poured a ton of time, mentored you to get that kind of rolling. And then, you know, the results have spoken for yourself. I mean, a lot of people watching this will be like, oh my gosh, Nick was my sales rep and he took good care of me. I mean, we genuinely get a call or a text almost weekly of like, hey, a lot of our guys, but especially when you were the front runner out there of thank you so much. Dr. Rob Jackman just sent me and Emily one a couple weeks ago. It was like, Nick's awesome. Like, just wanted to make sure we told you that, you know. So that's always nice to hear. But, you know, and like you said, like you started your construction career out in Colorado. What was you started a business out there, right?
If you want to call it that, yeah. No, there's a coworker I worked with at the company I was for at the time, and he and I decided to start our own thing, or at least try to. So we got on Home Advisor. And in hindsight, that was a terrible idea. But we got on Home Advisor. That's how we tried to get some of our leads. And we were just doing miscellaneous odd and end jobs for a month or two. And then shortly after that, I mean, it just didn't work out. The guy really wasn't someone you want to, you know, be a business partner with by any means. So it ended up burning me, but I learned a lot from it. So it was a good experience, but definitely burned me towards the end there.
Yeah, the only ship that doesn't sail is a partnership.
Exactly.
My mentor Dave
Exactly.
Ramsey says.
Yeah.
So, and fortunately, whatever that mistake was, there wasn't too many zeros on the end of that number of that mistake. I mean, I've tried a couple partnerships that I could tell horror stories about too that, didn't work. And, we've also all tried stuff that businesses that didn't work. Me and Emily's done some businesses that you guys would friggin' flat laugh at, if you knew, but one thing that I respect about you and something that we've been working on some, I guess I would call it organizational health here at the business of just like really focusing on like the strength and the health of our company, not really sales numbers, but all together, and had some business consultants in, and they were talking about there's three types of people. There's the straight line people, there's the zigzags, and there's the circle people. The circle people never get anywhere because they're in a circle. Zigzags, they get off course, but the straight line, and you just gotta go be a straight line, and sometimes you're going to fail. You can pitch that job as best as you can and have the best product and the best warranty, and sometimes you just don't get it, but that's just kind of life, and you just, especially in sales, you just got to get back up and do it the exact same thing, figure out what you can do better that day or the very next day. Like you can't set in a slump, the longer you set in the slump, the worse that is. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, you get kicked in the teeth so many times as a salesman, but it's just all about learning from that and just getting back up and keeping at it. And yeah,
but you should have said what Emily said on the first podcast: kicked in the nuts. So she was the first one to say an inappropriate comment on the podcast.
Kicked in the teeth, kicked in the nuts. Yeah.
But one thing that, I want to talk about is the sales manager thing that we're transitioning into, trying to slowly do that just to make sure it's a good fit, and it's the right thing for you, me, the business, your future, all that kind of stuff. And, and this may turn into more of a, if you're watching this and you're trying to get ahead at your current position, like if you want a better position, like do your job extremely well and then start doing that for free per se, and I mean, that's one thing that when Chris was on an earlier episode, he came in, like he job shadowed the heck out of you, and you poured a ton into him, and you guys would meet. I mean, there's times you guys were at the office at 7:30, 8 o'clock doing estimates, or Chris is always telling me, oh yeah, I'm going over to Nick's house tonight. We got to work on a couple estimates. So, it was a fit. You brought Chris in, the combination of you two, brought Cody in, which led into Lonnie. So, you were already pouring into the guys. And there's the age old, like, oh, don't ever put your top sales guy as a sales manager. Well, if you can replicate yourself and you can have 3 or 4 guys by the end of this year doing what you were doing last year, then, then that's mission accomplished, And last night, I know you closed a quick roof, just to show off to the guys to remind them that you can, still close deals. Yep. But, I guess talk a little bit about your journey, here, and, what you struggled with, what you've liked. Try not to harp on me too bad of being a jerk boss, but, and kind of like, why are you spending your talents at Hoel Roofing and Remodeling now over 2 years? I mean, we're in a world today that everybody wants to switch jobs every 3 or 4 or 5, 6 months. And, I always hear, oh, these damn kids don't want to work these days. And genuinely, between you, Chris, and Cody, like you guys are all around that 25 age, like you guys work your asses off. You guys are extremely loyal to Emily and I in the business. And we've also got other office staff people, Adam behind the mic right now, or behind the camera, not Mike. He's in his mid-20s. Ellie's in her mid-20s. Like, we've got a group of you guys. And I always say, like, there's lazy people my age, your parents' age. There's always been lazy people. There's always been hardworking people. So I guess share a little bit of your journey.
I think it's really important to just make sure whoever is listening, it's just extremely important to make sure you know what your why is. Why do you get up every day and do what you do? For example, my why is I want to provide for my family and make sure that we have a good future and a stable future. So, that's why I wake up every day, every morning, and put the work in that I do. And the reason we're so loyal to you, Bob and Emily, is just because you are great leaders. You are compassionate. I mean, you are, the leading example of the core values that we have at our company. So I think between me and everybody who works here would feel that same way. But back on the why, I remember, it was probably like 3, 4, 5 years ago, was a little lost. I didn't have, I was only about 20 years old, didn't have everything planned out, didn't really have my goals set. So I was a little lost in some ways, battled through some addictions. But after finding you, starting to work for Hoel Roofing and Remodeling, everything started falling in place. Started learning why do I do what I do? Why do I need to do what I do? And that's important for everybody. Yeah.
So thank you. Emily and I try every day. We fail every day, multiple times a day with leading. Are you compassionate enough? Are you too hard on somebody or something like that? But, it's kind of cool to see God's plan. And, when I was 20 years old, I never thought in 16 years I'd be running a roofing company. I know when you were 20, you sure didn't think you would be, getting ready to turn 26, right? And, being a sales manager of a pretty decent sized roofing company, and the chance of growing. I mean, the bright future, we're going to continue to grow, continue to scale. It's just, everything works out. You got sent to Colorado. I know you're not near as open as Chris, and you're not quite the open book that Chris is, but you're actually warming up a lot, and people are responding. We just had our company retreat a few weeks ago, and when you opened up at Fireside Chat between you and Emily, I felt like that just opened the floodgates of people being willing to be vulnerable and speak. Everybody expects that out of me, but when you and Emily speak up, say that kind of stuff, but you're out there in construction, come back here, end up finding a job, went through college, worked your ass off and went through college. You haven't even graduated for a year yet, right? Wasn't it last May?
Yeah. Yep. Just under a year. Yeah.
So, there's people watching about, hey, you can't work and go to school. Yes, you can. You put that plan and you executed it. You didn't let work get in your way. I mean, there's a few times you're like, hey, boss, I can't get this estimate done tonight. I got to get schoolwork done. I'm like, dude, totally get it. However, like I said, you planned it out, you executed it. There's a lot of people that can't do that. There's always rhymes or reasons. It goes back to that straight line, circle, zigzag stuff.
And to me, it's always about having an end goal in mind. Whatever troubles you may come across, just always focus on, where do I want to be in 5 years? Where do I want to be in 10 years? And remember that every single day, because you're going to go through obstacles in life. Life's life, but you're going to keep going through these obstacles, and make sure that you know where you want to be in 5 to 10 years, because that's going to hold you true to that goal.
Okay, talk about where you want to be in 5 or 10 years.
Oh, where do I want to be in 5 or 10 years? I just want to be financially stable. I want to buy a house out in the country, possibly build a house out in the country, and the only way that I can do that is to work my ass off day in and day out. Yeah.
And see if you can get Chris to work a little harder, so you don't have to work as hard.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and that is so important, and that's one thing that Emily and I try to work on. We started this company, and it was always going to be we always wanted it more than just for us. At the beginning, it was just to freaking provide for my family, 3 young kids running around, However, now, now it's to give you the opportunity to make the kind of money that you can live your dream. We got Cody, we got Chris with young kids. You're going to have young kids sooner than later. And just to give them kiddos the opportunity, little Joey, Cody's little boy, he was in the office the other day. And I mean, he thought he was in the coolest place ever. And I'm like, buddy, you're in a roofing, you're in a roofing business. But I mean, he just smiling, seeing the team, and Cody texts me, he's like, Joey says that the office is the coolest place ever. So of course I'm sending candy home with him because I'm trying to lose some weight. And when there's candy right in the way, I have no self-control. So like I grabbed this bag, I start throwing candy in it, and Joey starts grabbing candy and stuffing it in there. It was so hilarious because he just kept adding some more, So that is life. Like, you just got to keep at it every single day. And, you do that, and, now we have a bigger sales team doing the exact same thing. Let's talk a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about, a bigger why of yours. You talk about, wanting to give back and, help with youth and addiction, and just share like why you want to do that and maybe a little bit of that vision. And I know right now we're working on it. I've been challenging you a little bit to take some steps, because we don't really know what tomorrow's going to bring, but we got to kind of take that first step to see what that next step's going to look like.
Right. So my bigger why, as Bob said, is eventually I want to start a organization that helps younger kids, teens, struggling with addiction, like how I did back when I was younger. First, I struggled with addiction, the pills, painkillers, that sort of thing, and then it eventually graduated into more harder drugs and battled through addiction within that. And it's extremely a dark place, and what saved me is kind of like what I said before, is just knowing where I want to be in 5 to 10 years. And what I was doing at that point wasn't going to get me to where I needed to be. So I needed to change something, and that was one reason why I moved out to Colorado, to kind of get away from it all. But no, at the end of the day, my bigger why, my bigger vision, and the legacy that I want to try to leave behind is creating this organization that helps these kids who are battling with the same thing that I did, maybe give them hope that, hey, this isn't the end all be all. There's so much more to life than what you feel right now.
Well, and unfortunately, it can be the end, though.
It very well can.
And it kind of gives me chills, because you never. There was a couple times I remember you told me and Emily, you're like, if you knew the real me, like you wouldn't think so much of me and all that. And I will give 100% credit to Emily for that, because like when we first got married, I was super judgmental, and of stuff like that. And Emily would always say, hey, not everybody had a dad that disciplined the way yours did, and not everybody was made to walk a straight line, and good people veered off the path, and it's like, okay. And, and she's like, people don't have to look like you. They don't have to talk like you to be a good person. I'm like, yeah, I didn't say they're not a good person, however, like, that is a lot to me of the willingness to open and just like genuinely love people. Like, I mean, people struggle with that kind of stuff. But so did you ever go through rehab or anything like that?
No, I did not.
Okay.
No, basically my rehab was just getting my ass sent out to Colorado.
Yep. So. Yeah. No. I thought that's the story that I'd heard, but I didn't want to say something and it be wrong. But you know what? And that's okay, because there's a lot of people that, that have struggled. And I've said that, like, I feel like some people just need to leave where they're at, because I mean, it'll just, it'll help them out, and it's just, like I said, it's, if somebody stepped back and looked, you're a kid of 2 lawyers, like, you're not supposed to be an addict, Nick. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. And I had a great childhood, had great parents, and I mean, that's just an example. I mean, that addiction can happen to anybody. But no, I had most of my challenges in my life were all my own self-doing. I had a great childhood, like I said, great parents. So every challenge that I had came across was usually self-inflicted.
Right. Well, you did hang out with Chris a little too much.
So that never really helped.
No, I mean, and that's something else. Like I was just having a meeting earlier this morning with part of the staff, and I said that, I was like, we can make excuses of having a bad day about this or slacking on this and slacking on that. But at the end of the day, like, there's always going to be crap that's going to come up, if whatever that is. If you're divorced and you got to deal with your baby daddy or your baby mama, like, there's going to be crap. Like, once again, kind of going back to some of that business health stuff, organizational health stuff we were talking about, like you can choose.
Yeah.
Happy, sad.
And make sure that you take full accountability for your own actions. I mean, you're never going to progress if you keep blaming all these other people on why you are in the situation that you are in. If you keep doing that, it's just going to be a kind of like Bob was talking about, a circular effect. So just make sure that you're taking full accountability for your actions and why you are in the situation that you are in, and that just helps move things along.
Well, and one thing that me and Emily always respected and appreciated about you, like when something was bid wrong on a job or the job went sideways due to, something that you overlooked, like you always took accountability. Honestly, you beat yourself up too much. And it's like, Nick, own it, move on, and that kind of goes back to another thing. It's like, what story are you telling yourself? Yeah. Like, are you telling yourself that you're going to be, have a successful nonprofit to help teen addictions? Are you, oh, I hope I can, and you know what? Also, like, you're a good fiance, you're a good provider, you're a good team member here, you're a good leader. Like, sometimes we get caught up in like, I want to be a good leader. And actually, a consultant called me out that on the other day. They're like, Bob, you keep saying you want to be a good leader. Like, you're a good leader, just accept it and keep, and just, get some more tools, become a better leader. But, and I'm like, okay, so, whatever that is, like better dad, or a good dad, like, just go try every day, put your foot forward. Like, life's a journey. Genuinely, we have no idea what's going to go on this afternoon, tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We just got to keep going every single day and, just keep trying, putting your next foot forward. Like, how do you walk?
Yeah. One foot in front of the other.
Yeah. You don't really know how you do it. You just do it. So, yeah. And, thank you for being honest about the addiction and stuff like that, because that is such a huge problem in the rural communities. It's really huge everywhere, not even just the rural communities. And I'll never forget, like, Chris telling me the story of the time that he had heard that you had overdosed in a car. And he's like, Bob, that was like the worst probably day of my life or half a day of my life, I believe that Chris kind of brought your struggles up to your parents when you were denying them.
Yeah, he did. And that was, that's why I consider Chris one of my best friends, because when I did struggle with that, I mean, it's hard for a best friend to rat on his other best friend, but that's exactly what Chris did. And at the time, of course, I was pissed at him for doing that. But now looking back on it, that's probably one of the best things that he could have ever done when I was in that situation. Yeah,
and I mean, that's love. Like, some people call it tough love, but it's not really tough love. It's just love. Like, right. He loved you enough that he didn't want to bury you, man. Mm-hmm. Like, I lost one of my best friend when he was 19, like, and not anything to do with addiction or anything like that. It was a freak accident, but like that sucks. Like, I just looked up, and it's going to be, I believe 15 years this year since we lost Kyle. And it's like, holy shit. Like, I mean, I asked Emily, I was like, how has it been that long? Kyle was her cousin, and once again, like, we just got up every day and kept putting your foot forward, so like, I truly, like, I love and I admire the relationship that you, Cody, and Chris have. You guys are genuinely, like, you're there to love and support each other. And yeah, you've done some stupid shit and gotten some trouble, but also when Cody's bought a house a month or two ago, you guys were over there painting. Well, you were painting, Chris. We don't really know what he was doing. Yeah. And laying flooring, like, to help him get moved in and to get his family moved in. And I mean, that's what friendship's about. That's what family's about. And I mean, and genuinely, that's seriously what life's about. So one thing I'm going to continue to challenge you is take some steps towards starting that program. And like I said, Emily and I are here to support you any way we can. And yes, that does include the checkbook if that's what it needs, because imagine, like, you help one kid. What about if that one kid is you, turns out to be you, to be a manager, to bring in more people that, once again, like, it's the snowball effect. Mm-hmm. Like, whose lives are you going to change being in the situation that you are? Like little Joey, like, Cody literally quit his job last night to come work for us full time, got the heck out of that factory that he's been wanting to do. Like, that's going to make a better home life for little Joey. Cody and Marissa's kids in the future, like, and that's a direct result of what you did 2 years ago by starting in sales, because Cody looked up like, holy cow, Nick did it. Now, Cody tells a story that he knew you could do it because you were smart. He tells a story that he really knew he could do it after Chris had success, But, I mean, all seriousness, like, I love the saying, like, impact over income, and we got to make money. We've all got goals that take money. It's okay. But also, like, who's going to – what your legacy? We're big about talking about legacy. Revolt's all about legacy. I took you to a Revolt retreat a few months ago, so you kind of saw more of that firsthand. Like your legacy with your family, but you're also your effect on everybody that works here. Adam, Bobby Ann, Ellie, whatever. Like, that is helping. Whatever their legacy is going to be, is you're kind of tied into that, So you bring in more people. Imagine changing some lives of addicts that can't get a job anywhere else, and they can come and sell roofs, and they can make money, a lot more money than they could make anywhere else, because of course they've got a mark on their name because of past struggles. Like, imagine helping them. Like, how's that going to change their family? Maybe a kid's going to grow up with a dad because they didn't overdose, that kind of thing. So yeah. I guess just talk a little bit about like what you're excited. It can be business, it can be personal for the next year. Hopefully, you start with getting married because it's about a year out.
Well, we'll try to get that venue booked today. But as far as what I'm excited about for this year is just being able to move into the sales manager position and just develop into a better leader. And just excited for the team to see what they can do this year. Excited to pour into these newer guys and do whatever I can to help them out, to help them grow and achieve the goals that they want to accomplish this year. So that's really what I'm excited about, and I think that's really another part of why I do what I do now that my roles have switched, is seeing the people. Seeing the sales team and everybody in the office, whether it be Adam, Ellie, Bobby Ann, Jerry, Dawson, seeing just everybody succeed as a whole. You talk a lot about, unity, wanting everything to move as one, and I think that's extremely important. That's why I want to see not just my sales team succeed, but everybody in the building succeed. So that's really what I'm excited about for this year.
Yeah, and I'm going to go back to that. Is like, you are a good leader. Like, I know you want to be a good leader, but you are, because I sat Chris and Cody down, and I'm like, hey guys, like, here's what me and Nick's had some talks about. Like, what is your thoughts? Because like, one of the things we talked about with them being such a good buddy, like there's two extremes. They're going to just do what the hell ever they want and never get in trouble, or they're going to have to walk on eggshells around you, and I can't remember if it was Chris or Cody, and maybe they both did. They're like, they in private, there's like, Nick, we support you. We love you. Like, we're going to work our asses off to make you look like a rock star. And, that's what a good team does. Like you said, unity. And it's so easy to preach unity and compassion and integrity and all that. But then there's some days it's like, damn, like if you're going to preach it, you got to do it. Like if that's show up on time, whatever it is, just do what you say, and a lot of times you look at like the problems that you're having in your life and like you see holes in your own life. Like me and Emily evaluate the company and we're extremely proud of where we're at. We're not even close to being done. So we're just always, unfortunately, as a business owner, you always have to look at like, all right, what do you need to work on now? Okay, you fix that. Now you got to work on this, and it's like, it's a constant, like, it feels like you're always looking at the negative, but you have to, because there's 20 other competitors that's trying to eat your freaking lunch, right. And so, and as the owner, like, you just want to, I'm just all gas, no brakes, and whenever I need to slow down, I just crash into the damn wall, So, but no, I mean, it's fun watching you. One thing that I'll say is I really appreciate Taylor's support, because that's another thing that we talk a lot about is like the spouse has to support, especially a salesperson. Like in general, anybody, But especially a salesperson when, it's an emotional roller coaster. You got a high because you just sold that deal, and then you lose one over something stupid or something somebody said or whatever it is, unfortunately, that's life. But so that is one thing that me and Emily really appreciate is Taylor's support, and everybody's spousal support. Lexi, Marissa, Bryce, so, that's one thing that like, I want a unified team, and that includes their spouses,
Yeah,
and but no, seriously, we appreciate the hell out of you. Even if the kids, Rhett teases the shit out of you for hurting them because you had a couple Stellas in that day. But on all seriousness, like watching you grow is excited. Like I can't believe it's been 2 freaking years. Because I look back like, what the hell was I doing then? And I still look today like, what the hell am I doing now? So, but it's fun delegating some of the delegating the sales manager stuff to you and just watching you do your own. And like I said, I don't want you to be a yes man. Like I want you to challenge me on stuff, and you've already have a couple of times. I'm like, damn, okay, he's actually challenging me. So maybe that's that lawyer blood in you from your parents. I don't know.
Maybe so.
But I mean, if you want to, if you got any words of wisdom to share as we conclude, you can.
Well, to close it out, I just want to say thank you again for having me on here. But, I mean, for words of wisdom, I just say for everybody who listens to this, just make sure you have your why in mind. If you ever, run into the struggles that you will day in or day out, just remember your why, and remember just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and then just, focus on that end goal where you want to be, and then that'll just make overcoming those obstacles and bouncing back even easier.
All right, I'm going to wrap it up with there's a book by Simon Sinek called Start With Why. So if you, if you're struggling with that may be some stuff. If we can ever help you out, seriously reach out to us. And I'm also going to say if anybody's watching this and they have connections to maybe help Nick get started with getting that program started. His heart is in Shelbyville because that's home. That's where he went to school at. You seriously reach out to one of us because that is something that I'm hoping in 6 months or a year or two, we're doing a podcast talking about the leap of faith you took to do that and like the lives that are changed because there will be plenty. So I appreciate you, brother. We appreciate the hell out of you here, and just looking forward to having a great year. And looking forward to that wedding here in like 13, 14 months. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thanks, brother.
Thank you.